At the Learning Planet Festival, we unite and empower thousands of engaged and active youth like you to advance learning on how to protect our planet, take the stage and add your voices to fundamental issues, shape the next generation of youth rights, and interact with thought leaders, educators, social innovators, and game changers creating the future of learning. Because coming together and learning to take care of oneself, others, and the planet is how we power up to shape and own our future. So come on to the Learning Planet Festival and bring your friends.
At this time, I would wish to invite Mr. Raban and to take us through about Learning Planet Alliance of People of Kenya. Let him take and tell us what is this.
At the numbers that you have been in existence as schools, 20 years, 14 years, 20, 15, the list, and also very big is 5 years. This is a very big timeline of impact. I might just be seeing years, but when you say that you have been in existence in 20 years, it is 20 years transforming the destinies of kids. It is 20 years of bringing up a child from that very age of knowing nothing to a level that they leave your school having become somebody. It's not numbers, all right? So I'm very much honored, I'm very much inspired to be among you. So you are in my heart. And just as much as you have your passion for your school, I also have passion for the success of your schools. Because I have passion for the kids. Tunasema kwa Kiswahili, umeshika hiyo kwa kamera. Huwa tunasema ya kwamba mtoto kuzaa ni wako, lakini kulea ni wetu. Sawa sawa? That is the African Ubuntu spirit. That a child is yours by birth, but belongs to the community for upbringing. So please welcome into this round table. My name is Laban Mtware. I'm the CEO of the Kenya Initiative on Self-Sustainability. In short, KISPRO Kenya. And what we do is that we focus on systems. We try to look, for example, now we're trying to interrogate at the low-fee private school system. Why is it that 20 years down the line? So Laban's interest is, why is the school not transitioning? All right? And I also want to say this, that many people have assisted you people. Is it true? People have come with workshops, right? People have come with seminars. I'm sure you have got so many certificates.
Yes.
I'm sure even asked for certificates of training here. There are so many. We went to Strathmore, right?
Yes.
So people have helped us. But there is one thing that has not been happening. People have not been giving you a voice. People try to do it for you, all right? People try to think for you. People try to get the problems right for you. But as CBS transition, we have come to say that you people, you saw a specific need in the society, and you responded to that need. I'm very sure you have got the thinking that can bring your schools to keep moving. So even with external support, we still believe that 25 directors in this meeting, they have got the capacity to think and to see the gaps in their schools. You have the capacity to understand what is required for your schools. All you need is a voice plus structured support. So this roundtable was organized by KISPRO Kenya. KISPRO Kenya, we are partnering with the Learning Planet Alliance. The Learning Planet Alliance is formed by UNESCO and an institution in Paris called the Learning Planet Institute. They came together and they formed the Learning Planet Alliance that brings together people like Laban and KISPRO who are systemic in thinking, so that we can look at the systems and try to bring some sort of systemic intervention that does not come to look at the symptoms. We try to look at the root cause of the problem, right? If the schools are not transitioning, if for 20 years you are still being called APBET, then what is wrong? How is it you have not been able to meet the guidelines that are required? For 14 years you are still APBET. Me as Laban, it is not a scenario that I want to support. I want us to support a scenario that you are in APBET, but you are moving towards meeting the threshold of the guidelines, so that you can become a school like Riara or Peponi School or whichever other school, so that our kids can experience inclusive and equitable education service provision. Our schools should not be distinguished by our lack of standards. Our schools should not be identified by our lack of not meeting the government policy. Our schools should be identified like any other school, all right? In terms of quality assurance, in terms of standard, in terms of performance, in terms of infrastructure, we should be like any other good school, all right? So this roundtable, we were given an opportunity by the Learning Planet Festival to organize a roundtable meeting where we can speak up to our issues. Laban, I have been campaigning and advocating for you guys, but people want to hear from your lips, all right? If what Laban has been speaking is true or not true, I might be proposing a certain narrative, a conversation ambayo you are not supporting, right? And then, like I am issue, it's Laban's ideology being forced on the teachers, right? So this roundtable, you are given a chance by the Learning Planet Alliance. Let us take this chance actively and energetically. I have talked about the Learning Planet Festival and Peaceful Kenya.
Yes.
Guide us through now.
Let's give you a snap. Just understand this. This is an international meeting, not just a meeting, a local one. This is an international meeting. So even as we present ourselves, let us introduce ourselves as international. Let's carry ourselves as international. No longer local here at that school of mine. No, we are not that school. You are director. You are directing a community, convincing parents, community that you are a teacher, and they bring their children to you. They leave their public schools and the private schools and they come to you. In that so-called, as they're saying that you don't have, what don't you have? You have everything. Yes, space is okay. You have utilized that space. So we're very much happy, and we have heard about the UNESCO and even being recognized that to hold such a round table is an honor. And people can come for this, but we are privileged to have this. So let's make use of it. This time we have our umbrella, which is UWASA Kenya, and one of our panelists will talk about UWASA, acknowledge UWASA. It's very much important, and you know, probably even the chairman is watching this. It's very much. So let him take us through about UWASA. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning once more.
Good morning.
Okay, APBET schools actually have been struggling since early 1995 to 2000 up to 2020, whereby there was an umbrella that is there to defend APBET schools. We have been having some leaders who come on board, but they disappeared. And the way they disappear is not a good way. Some of them have been disappearing with our money. Some of them have been withholding our certificates. Some of them come with projects that never exist. But for the last 2 years, we had a meeting whereby we had Mr. Moses Wekono, who came in and started mobilizing schools to join UWASA Kenya, of which it has been successful. It has been very successful.
That's enough for him. Actually, has been an analogy of what is UWASA, and this animal that is, we are calling it UWASA. The world might wonder, what is this UWASA? Is it a flower, or it is what? It is Unified APBET Schools, actually in Kenya. So thank you, Mr. Patrick, for that, taking us through that. And I believe now someone is understanding us. Now, as we continue, I would like to ask ourselves, and it's now an open forum for every director to answer this. The genesis of the name APBET. APBET, the genesis of it. And I believe here we are. Can we just have someone take us through just 1 minute or 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes, the genesis of the name APBET? What do you like to tell the world about APBET? What is APBET?
In 2003, the president said every child in Kenya must go to school.
Sure.
And there was free primary education. This meant that all the children were supposed to be in schools. However, the government could only accommodate so many children, and they did not put up any new infrastructure in the slums or in remote areas. So now there were people that were very concerned, and that noticed children were still not going to school within the slums. And this included churches. This included individuals that saw a problem and they were concerned. So some became CBOs, some became NGOs, some were just individuals that came in to help the children so that more children could go to school. So we came in as an alternative to fix a problem which the government had a desire to meet but could not meet.
As now for Madam, I believe we have gotten and we have told the world. In that light, do you think APBET schools have an impact in social connections with the community?
Okay, yeah. Clearly, there is a social connection since we are working within the same community. And I also want to echo what Chipo has said in the sense that the government wants to provide free primary education. But on the other hand, only the existing schools were there to accommodate the influx of children who were all over, like were not able to go to school because they had to pay. But with the free primary education, there was a big influx of children going into the public schools. And I remember the policy was admit as they come. Even if it means they sit on the corridor, they were accepted. But now, as APBET, we saw that gap and we decided to step in. And like Chipo says, some began as CBOs, some as self-help groups, some as individuals. And we have come this far. And I think the government recognizing the role that we are playing in providing these alternatives to education, because the government is not able to cater for all the children that are in need of education in the country. So it is good, as Patrick tells us, that the government is, that a motion is in parliament and APBET schools are being discussed. The government is going to recognize the role we are playing within the society, complementing the government in order to give education to these children who would otherwise not find a space in the public school because probably it is full or probably they are not able to meet a demand from the government school.
Wow, amazing. Please give us now. You know, we are dealing with the directors, and I told you we are well informed, and we are in the right sector.
Yes.
And we are telling the world that our schools, they are actually connected with the society because one thing, our schools are affordable. We have pocket friendly, free. Number two, we are flexible. Whether you come in plastic shoes or whatever, we are flexible. Ours is, we have that passion to deliver. Second is that we are very much accommodative. Our centers, we are very much accommodative. Third one, we even go ahead and sponsor the most needed learners. So APBET schools, they are a juice in the community, and they are social jam in the community. So we can give ourselves a snap for being the directors there. As we continue, I would like to put this to our panelists. Is there, has APBET done something? Has APBET, what is the work have? What work or what achievement can we say that APBET has done? You know, as you can say that we have done, but someone from outside can say no, let's stay. So is there work done in our APBET schools? Our panelists here.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I think let me pick it from where our friend has given a very big overview of the genesis of APBET schools. That there was a meeting, 2015?
Yes.
Where the name APBET was coined. Let me use the word coined. or framed, right? And I don't know what parameters were used to come to a conclusion that these schools should be called alternative, right? But that name did not bring your schools into existence. Your schools were existing before the APBET policy came into existence, right? So the policy just came to kind of recognize in a small way that there's a certain group of schools which are not public or private, but that have been existing. So to come to your question, that is there impact that has been attributed to these schools? There is a lot of impact. There's a lot of impact. There's a lot of impact. A school cannot be in existence for 20 years with no impact. Even if you graduated only 2 kids, that is impact. But for 20 years, if I was to take a baseline and capture what the number of kids who have passed through your hands, and today are mamas and babas, there are so many. I remember I was passing here one day with madam when she was escorting me out after those previous meetings, and we met some people here, they are grown-ups, and they were saying, oh, Shuleyetu, our school, we went to that school, right? They are still remembering they went to a certain school. So the impact, there's no question about impact. The schools are impactful, that is for sure. But maybe I would like to bring maybe a teaser back to the group, and my fellow leader here. When the name APBET was being framed, do you think it was alternative in terms of provision, or was it alternative, like Mrs. Chip has put it, alternative point of access to all kids because of the 100% national policy that some kids will miss schools? So let us have some schools here and let them. I want to get from you, are our schools an alternative point of access, or are they an alternative provider of basic education? I want to hear from us. Are we alternative in basic provision of education and training? Or are we providing an alternative point of access for kids to come to access basic education? I'd like to hear from this meeting, so that let those people understand that we know what we are doing. And I value what the government has done. I value what UWASA has done. There is a bill in parliament at that reading, right? So I'm worried. I'm a bit worried, because if the APBET is captured in the wrong way, we might end up becoming stigmatized by the law. Because if the law captures a dimension of our schools that we did not interrogate, then in the future when it becomes law, you cannot question it. Because now the law defines you. The law defines you. Now, like now, if I have some applications here, and they are saying this: if you are a youth between 17 and 35 years, you can apply, all right, for that funding. Where did they get that threshold? From the law. The Kenyan law defines a youth as 17 to 35. So hata nikienda niambia hapana, mimi ni mzee lakini mzee kijana. Niko na ujana ndani yangu. Naweza vaa swag. Watasema no, the law defines you. You are not a youth. So when the law defines you, then there are consequences. So in as much as I'm supporting the Basic Education Act amendment, I'd like us to discuss this reality. Are we alternative points of access for the kids, or are we alternative providers of basic education? Because if you are alternative providers, that's a very big difference. It's a big difference.
Yes.
You are alternative to somebody else. Right? Na nikisema hii ni alternative, basi kuna maji ingine mzuri. Nikisema hii maji hii maji ni alternative. Yeah. It means you are supposed to bring us Keringet. Okay? So sijaona Keringet, ni sawa tu nitakunywa, but nitakunywa dengoja Keringet, si ndio? So my friend, that is my argument. I want us to hear from us. Are we a point of access for the kids to come and access education? Or are we alternative providers of basic education and training? This meeting should tell us that. Please. I want to hear that from you people. Are we alternative providers? Or are we alternative access for their 100% national policy to work? So that even as the law is being amended, it will be amended when they begin to craft the policies. the policies should really capture our true identity. Are you basic providers of education or are you alternative points of access? That will dictate the support you'll get, whether from the government or for the international community. They'll only help you within the confines of the understanding of the law. So it's good for us to understand our identity as APBET schools. Are we points of access or are we alternative providers?
The floor is open. And yes,
Yes.
as you have heard from me, that understanding. Let's do something with understanding. If it is alternative, suppose today the law goes through and then you are told to, as from today, your school's no uniform, because it's an alternative,
Yes.
it's a category of its own.
Yes.
Because now what we are
Yes.
fighting for is a category.
Yes.
There is public, there is private.
Yes.
So now the updates, we are fighting for a category.
Yes.
Suppose now they say, okay, it's fine.
Yes.
You are fighting, you want to be recognized.
Yes.
Then now they recognize you.
Yes.
Your schools, they don't meet the criteria, they don't meet the standards.
Yes, exactly.
So now, suppose now they say now, as from today, as from now, those APBET schools, no uniform, no designs, no what?
It's a masculine.
Zamasikini, anybody coming, even that 5-year-old can come to your class, no question. And even your examination body will be different from
Yes.
the neck body.
Yes.
Let's see these things with some understanding, eh? Because anything can come up after the law has been passed. Anything
Yes.
can come up.
Yes.
We are fighting for recognition, yes, but now, so the floor is open.
We follow the curriculum, we attend workshops. The question is, it's that minimum requirements they require us to meet. Irregardless of what we do, we jump up and down, we cannot meet. We cannot meet.
Wow.
We
Okay.
can only meet 5%.
Appreciate this gentleman. There's something I've captured from him.
Because for that 5% is the education we're giving to children. That learning that they are gaining from us. But if we go to the fields, washrooms, kitchens, learning space and all that, we might find a challenge. Employment of teachers. Now, even the government itself is having a problem to employ teachers. Now, what about us?
Wow.
So it's a challenge that we are going through. But if we are recognized and given support, we can move learning miles ahead.
Wow.
Than just keep singing about we are not there, we are there. We realize that they are not there.
So, Mr. Mukaba, what I'm getting from you that you're telling the world that APBET schools have populations, they have numbers.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting from you.
Yes.
So, APBET schools are there and they're there to,
Yes.
they're not dying tomorrow. No one,
They are not dying tomorrow.
Maybe just to
yes, yes,
to add what
yes, yeah.
it's also good we put it in the correct context.
Yes.
The issue is not about the impact of the APBET schools. The question is, would you like your schools to be given structured support to transition? That's one question I want to ask. Mr. Mukabwa, will you be happy if these schools are given structured support to transition to become a school like any other school?
Yes.
That is our discussion here. So the issue of why I'm asking this is because you are put very well. The government is already struggling even to employ its own teachers. We have got a deficit of 10,000 new schools as we are speaking right now. We need 10,000 new schools right now. Not junior secondary. 10,000 new schools. The government will not do that. All right? So unless the community itself wakes up, okay, with the recognition of the law very well, and the support of UASA and the other noble organizations. But what I'm saying, the international community will wish to understand, even as the government recognizes you, which it will, I'm very sure. By the end of this year, the law will be ratified, okay? But the international community thinks in terms of inclusivity and equity. So when Laban goes to speak about the APBET schools, all right, they'll ask me, these schools, are they inclusive? Is there equity in these schools? A child from Kangemi and a child from Riara High School or whatever, or Brabant, when they go to the same class, are they equal? All right? they can't be equal because of a lot of challenges. So my question is not the question of if the government should recognize. It must recognize us. It must. Because the children are constitutionally mandated to education by right. It's a constitutional right. And you also have the basic education framework. It lays out categorically inclusivity and equity is constitutional. All right? But for the purpose of this roundtable, what I was asking is this. Even as the government recognizes us, we need structured support from other people. And these other people want to understand what is your own understanding of your own identity. That's why I'm asking, not the government. I'm not asking the government or the efforts that has been done towards recognition. That is perfect. What I'm asking us is my understanding of your identity right?
Yes.
Am I to understand you as alternative providers of basic education and training or alternative points of access? As I said, in Madare there is that big number, right?
Yes.
If you close those schools, then the kids won't have access. See the issue?
Yes.
He's speaking about access. But I'm speaking about what happens in the schools once they access the schools. Once they come here now. I'm interested in that.
Maybe
There's a hand there, two hands there.
Yes.
Oh, there are three. Okay,
Three, and then
okay,
there's-
started, eh?
and then there's the panelists.
Gender balance. Okay.
So
let's go.
I hope I'm not intruding. Eh?
No, it's okay.
Yes.
I think the definition of that APBET was just about the access, because we give the same curriculum
Yes.
to the Kenyan pupil.
Yes.
So I think our definition should be the access to education, where we are able to enable that child who is not able to reach the public school still meet her education rights. So we are able, the children in our community are able to access our schools easier,
Easier.
easily. So our definition is the access.
Access.
Yeah, the access. But we give the same education, the same curriculum. Yeah, the same activities that are being done in public schools. We are also doing the activities in our schools. Like I remember last year, we were doing with even the same public schools. Our schools with the public schools. So we are doing the same thing, but now we have given the alternative room access, where the children can now come, those who are unable to reach the public schools or the private schools, to come to our APBET schools.
Okay.
So if they give us that structure where they can give us the minimal requirements and they help us, I think we will be working together as a team. Yeah.
Amazing. It's not from one. So what I'm getting from Madhu is that we are using the same curriculum. We are using the same teaching methodology.
Yes.
We are using the same timetable.
Yes.
We are same exam, so this alternative
Access.
It's just an access, alternative access.
but we are doing we are offering we are providing everything as it's required by the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
Nice. That's amazing. There's a hand up there. Yes, Molim.
I think she has said exactly what I wanted to say.
Yes.
But we are not an alternative provision of education because we do the same exams with them. We participate in the same games. We use the same timetable. The curriculum designs are just the same. So we are just an access. We don't provide any alternative education.
I can see we are very much well informed.
I also want to add something. Please, the people who advocate for you guys policy change. Si mnajua yako hapa? Ama mjue yako hapa? Si yako kwa hii meeting? So don't be afraid of speaking so that they hear your thinking, so that even when they go to those other meetings, because even after the law, there will be the national education strategic sector plan will be drafted. Then there will be another policy, right? after the law, there will be another policy to effect the law. So it's good if they hear what we are speaking, so that wakienda huko watawaambia kwamba directors wanafikiria. Alright? So don't be afraid.
Okay. Thank you. I totally agree with my two colleagues.
Yes.
Yes, we follow the same curriculum. Yes, we do the same exams.
Yes.
However, because of where we are situated, and also because at the moment the government has sidelined us, we do not get any provision or support from the government, yet we are serving the poorest of the poorest in Kenya. Now when we are now doing the CBC, for example, the new curriculum, where we are supposed to take photos, it's a big challenge. Where we are supposed to have worksheets, it's a big challenge because our fees are friendly to the community. However, if we could have support and we become accountable on the money that we've used for worksheets, the money we've used for better classrooms, better chairs, we are willing to get help and we are willing to be accountable.
Fantastic. Madam, I'm coming to you and to you. Is this? If I may ask this now, I drive this now. Does the name APBET fit the law of in our schools? One, in both actualizing the Kenya government 100% transition policy. Let me come back again. Does the name APBET fit the law of the schools both in actualizing the Kenya government 100% transition policy? Mwalimu, I come back to you. Yes, does. Are you getting the question?
Yeah, just come again.
Does the name APBET fit, underline the word fit, the law of the schools, one, both in actualizing the Kenya government 100% transition policy?
Okay, in what I feel or I think is as much as we are being called an alternative provision of basic education, I don't think it does fit because at the end of the day, whatever we are doing is exactly what the public schools are doing and the private schools are doing will be assessed the same way. When the Ministry of Education, the quality assurance officials come, they have expectations from us and very high expectations. And that's why at one point, some of our schools were closed down just to be reopened later when they realized they do not have anywhere to take these children. They had to reopen the schools. But they want us to meet certain standards, regardless of the fact that we are in the slums. We don't have even the necessary infrastructure, even in terms of like sanitation. We have a long way to go to be able to meet the government standards. But still, they will come to for that quality assurance. They'll come to ensure that the policies are carried out within our schools. But well, if they do not step in to support us in any way, we are not able to meet the standards that they require for our schools. For at the end of the day, as much as they call us APBET, the standard will be the same. They want policies implemented like in any other school, like in the public or in the private. They want that assurance in terms of quality, which for sure being in the slums, we are not able to meet. That would be my take on that.
Now, I think she has, and then in line with that, I want still to pose this on you. Are we alternative in providing learning spaces for our children to access education? Are we alternative? Yes. Are we alternative in providing learning spaces for our children to access education?
Ms. Rose.
Yes.
And as I had mentioned, you remain silent, and then you know lunch, you pay you buy an egg of chom nyama choma, and
We are laughing. We are cheering.
Yes.
I just have to add something.
yes, please.
We are just going round circle to one thing.
Yes.
Our schools are able and they are doing a very good job. Okay. But what they have is a shortfall. And this shortfalls comes in the following way.
Yes.
Number one, it is our teachers. And our teachers in which way? our teachers have shortfalls in terms of salary
Yes.
and in terms of capacity. That is number one. Whereby our schools are not able enough to sustain our teachers in terms of salary. Number two, capacity building. Our teachers, some of our teachers have not gone through the fully trained training that they are supposed to have to handle our pupils. Number two, we have the issue of rent. Most of our schools, most of them, 99% of our schools are on rental premises. So it becomes an issue when the school does not have enough amount to pay the rent. Then number three is feeding program. If our schools could have enough feeding program, then we are just supposed to do, we are going to do a very good job. Then there is issues of infrastructure, whereby you find that in some of the classes you combine 2 classes, 3 classes in one room. But if you have this capacity, then that means that we are going to have fully implemented infrastructure for our school. Then lastly, we have the issue of licensing, registration, and then support from the government. So those are the most hindering challenges that if anybody, whether the government or the donor or the sponsor comes in, then our schools are going to do a very good job. In fact, we are going to be more better, because here we are working at quality. If these challenges are dealt with, then we are going to provide more quality, and we are going to upgrade ourselves to more private than where we are. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. That's enough for him. Let also our panelists also contribute something. Let's hear from our...
No. I'm just building on what they're saying.
Yes.
Why did you build?
Yes.
You don't talk, I don't talk.
Yes.
I think Patrick has decided to hit the
nail on the head.
And Patrick has raised the challenges. I think we had listed it somewhere as barriers. About teachers, the numbers, the pay, about the rental, the pay, the hiring, the lease, about the feeding program. I don't like calling it feeding program because kule wameandika do not feed the animal. That's me, napenda kuita nutritional program. Ama nutritional and wellness support. Hatuhitaji feeding.
Okay.
And then there's infrastructure challenges. All these issues revolve about one thing: financial capacity. So ni kweli? Yes. To hire qualified teachers, feeding program, to buy land, construct infrastructure, lease, improve, all this comes to money. So ni kweli? Yes. So as a transition program, this is what we are trying to address. That even as you provide basic education, the way you are doing it right now, these things require money. Ama sio hivyo?
Yeah.
And that's why I talked about a structured support. Nimesema hivyo? Structured support which comes to get rid of these barriers. But now my question is this now to the directors. To the directors now. Madam Rose.
Yes.
It's about money, isn't it?
Yes.
Do we run our schools as businesses? That's a question I'm throwing to the panel. Are our schools, do we run our schools as businesses so that we aim at making profit or breaking even, that the revenue is equal to the expenditure, right? Or our schools than profit? Our schools depend majorly on donations and philanthropy. How are our schools structured? Patrick, how are our schools structured? Are they, do they run as businesses with business principles, with business management? Ama tulizianzisha tukitegemea somebody is coming to chip in some money, Mnisaidie.
I think our school majorly is for helping the community. Yes. But yes, we are making something small for youth, but not that much. Yes.
Wow. If I may ask, is there a big profit or a small profit or a profit?
Do we call it profit or income? Is it profit or income? Or revenue?
Is there big or small or some amount to define?
Sometimes.
Yes,
Yes.
One person, please. One person. One person. I want to hear his angels, and then Madam.
Okay, me, I would say sometimes in our schools,
Yes.
we as directors, we go without anything, empty hands in our homes. So, our parents have a lot of debts
Yes.
which they are not paying. And once they fail to pay, they just take our kids back to public schools, where their brothers and sisters are. By the way, those kids that we have in our schools, they have their brothers and sisters in public schools. So we are related with the public schools. We are just supporting, but we are not making profit. Us just to get our supper or a food, and then everything.
Madam,
That's the end of everything.
I can see Madam expanding them. Madam respond. Yes.
Thank you. I would say
Yes.
that question is possibly better answered individually.
Exactly.
Very true.
And
Yeah.
then going to Strathmore was eye-opening for most of us, that we could do things differently and watch the money and be able to separate personal from business. So I would also say within that, capacity building would be very helpful to directors in order for us to grow our schools. Whether we are saying no profit, just a lot of debt, whatever we are saying, capacity building amongst the directors will help us so that our schools become self-sustaining.
Wow, thank you, Asna, for
To make sure we are Strathmore.
To
I want-
contribute on this,
Yes.
contribute on that. When we started this school, we had aim and we had visions to get into the school and get some profit, make some profit and grow. But it reached a time whereby it went higher. Luckily, this training, Strathmore and others, came in handy that we are now starting to change. You know, we went to a point that we went so down that we couldn't even get up ourselves. You know, couldn't pick up ourselves. But you know, you cannot just wake up in the morning and close the school. So you wake up, you go there, you have children, and they have not paid, and you are with them there. You know, you cannot send them away because you are not attached to it. So to another point that we have got the knowledge and the better way of running them, but we still have that vision of having this school that makes profit and can sustain itself.
Wow, fantastic. Let's give him a... Okay, now, okay. We are headed in the right direction, eh?
Madam Rose,
Yes. How
Madam
best could the schools be assisted? One, in both to grow, improve both quality in education services, provision and safe learning spaces. I repeat, how best could the schools be assisted? Underline the word assisted. Tumesema sasa imekuwa challenge, si ndio? And now here comes a question. If now someone asks you, how would you like to be assisted? Do you have something that can say, I'm tabling this one, eh? How best could the schools be assisted in both to both grow, improve both quality in education service provision and safe learning spaces? Directors, why nimetaja nafasi ni yenu. Emma, now you can now say what you are saying. Yes.
Before we answer that, I wanted to answer the first question. That as you were beginning these schools, the main emphasis or the main issue that made us to start with them was to bring hope to the most vulnerable kids from the slums, whereby most of them they stay with a single parent, foster parent, irresponsible parent. So our major thing was not all about the profit, but to bring them hope by educating them, providing for them food. Why alternative? Because we are now asking for just a low cost that can sustain us as we give them education, being the main thing that can help them to be productive and dependable and become worth in future and change that life that they live that of their parents. So that was the main aim of our schools.
What I'm getting from Madam is that as we came as to fill a gap, we saw a need, and we came in to fill a gap whereby which we are doing up to the time. Hiya, my question now comes here.
Challenge.
Yes.
How best could the schools be assisted to both grow, improve both quality in education, services, provision, and safe learning spaces? Yep.
At the Learning Planet Festival, we unite and empower thousands of engaged and active youth like you to advance learning on how to protect our planet, take the stage and add your voices to fundamental issues, shape the next generation of youth rights, and interact with thought leaders, educators, social innovators, and game changers creating the future of learning. Because coming together and learning to take care of oneself, others, and the planet is how we power up to shape and own our future. So come on to the Learning Planet Festival and bring your friends.